5 years ago, the nation of Kryn was ravaged by the dragon cult, worshippers of Tiamat. Although their plan of sacrificing the country failed, it was still left devastated. Nearly every village erased. Really, all that's left is one town and one city. And this tale starts there, in the town of Vogler. Five people of various backgrounds catch wind of somebody putting together a little team to rebuild Kryn. First, there's Embers, a tall dragonborn with multiple prosthetics. Then, there's Atlas and Simon, a moth girl and a masked elf, both traveling together. Tsubaki, a tiefling hoping to investigate her amnesia, and Isaac, a human carpenter with a missing leg. And he still, somehow stands like a normal human. I don't know how he does it. I'll probably introduce each of these guys later as they come up. Don't worry if you're not part of the group. But anyway, most of all is Raksha, the person who either called them here or put out the help wanted posters that they saw. She's a woman with a pretty scary Oni mask, honestly. Anyway, once everyone's gathered, she goes over the plan of rebuilding certain villages marked on her map and bringing the area around them back from the Dragon Cult's scorched earth tactics. Raksha very conveniently has a wagon that has magical heating and cooling in it. Air conditioning, basically. Sorry, Embers. Very nice. She also hands out 3 coins to each of these people. A divination wizard told Raksha that she'd meet 6 people, and that once she does, she should give them these coins. There's only 5 so far, but whatever. Anyway, these coins are actual in-game things that we use. They're called all or nothing coins. After you roll a d20, you can choose to flip a coin and call it. And if you call it right, you automatically succeed with a crit and everything, nat 20. If you get it wrong, then it's a nat 1. You are fucked. Anyway, while leaving... Oh, dude, I need a horse. Anyway, while leaving town in their little wagon here, they spot something in a tree. They're able to get it out and then find that it's a small, fairy-like person called Vespa. They claim to be from another world, but crash-landed here. Took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. But they've done architectural work before, so, the party brings them along to help rebuild Kryn. If we're going on actual size, Vespa's that big compared to everyone. A little further on their way to that village, they're attacked by bandits. Fuck! The party is pretty dysfunctional with, some people choosing violence, and others trying to, talk it down or using spells to subdue the bandits emotionally. They survive after killing most of them, but then letting 2 go. They eventually arrive at the first village only to find it in utter ruins. It's basically a collection of barely surviving walls and a few shingles as the roofs. Both Embers and Raksha are shocked that they're gonna have to pretty much build this village from scratch instead of repairing it, but Isaac immediately goes off and starts chopping down some trees, getting straight to work. A few of the others go to a nearby quarry to gather stone, but once sunset comes, everyone reconvenes around the village. Atlas, Simon, and Tsubaki take the first watch for that night. Yeah, wide. Okay. In the distance, they noticed a few refugees heading back towards Vogler. Atlas suggests helping them, but Simon thinks they'll be fine. Although then Atlas argues that Simon was in their position once. Eventually the conversation goes towards her asking him why he helped her that day. And his answer is basically, you were fucked up. You were terrified, covered in blood. And he says, I'm not heartless, Atlas. And then goes into some weird little monologue the way I grew up, Atlas, you can only open up so much. You can't even trust people close to you. For someone like me, it's the only way I can live. Anyway, they chat a bit more. They've been around with each other for about 4 months. Although now, being somewhere new with new people makes Atlas a little bit anxious. Embers takes second watch, although Tsubaki is also still awake. What the fuck did I just say? Embers takes the second watch, and sees some pretty spooky shadows out in the forest. They're kind of moving strangely, on their own, they're not actually connected to the trees that seem to be casting them. She reconfigures her one cybernetic arm to glow a bit, before walking in and then finding that the darkness is, unaffected. It's like magical shadow, pretty much. At the same time, Tsubaki discovers that there's actually necromancy out there. A voice seemingly coming from all around her compels her to turn back, and her body just obeys. But then she decides to re-enter, and it's like, fucking I told you so, dude, and gets hit with a fuck ton of necrotic energy. Like I can't remember what it was, but it was a lot of damage. In the morning, the party finds a huge man crouched down reading a book nearby. He has hodgepodge armor, but, and I quote, the most amazing boots you've ever seen. His name is Gry Trixeline Nor, or Guy for short. He's charismatic-ish, but has trouble understanding anything besides the most literal speech. He doesn't seem to be an enemy though, so Raksha brings him aboard, and his strength immediately proves useful. He's just like carrying trees. Everyone works on the village during the day, more of the same pretty much. And then night falls again. The forest is suspicious. While on a watch with Atlas again, Simon notices a feminine figure in the woods and suspects that it may be somebody they know. But the mention of this figure was enough to get the party to investigate once day comes. They make their way into the woods only to find a fucking Nightwalker. A monster suited to legendary heroes, that's what it says here, is seemingly guarding the deeper areas. So, of course, Isaac just walks right up and kind of threw it. As it turns out, it was actually an illusion the whole time. He's fucking lucky that paid off. The party follows him, only to find twisting, foggy woods and massive footprints scattered about. They try to leave the way they came, only to find a massive, unscalable cliff. It goes up as far as they can see, at least a few miles. Without really any other choice, they just have to camp here for tonight. On occasion, necromantic monsters like ghosts and ghouls and stuff emerge from the shadows. They're not too big a deal, but during combat, a larger creature actually kills some of these monsters with ease. However, nobody was able to get a good look at it. So anyway, camping doesn't really work out too well. The party does keep exploring a little bit. Tsubaki finds a cave and rests near it. Guy makes ectoplasm tea for himself. And I want to say Vespa goes fishing. I feel like Vespa came across some body of water and went fishing. It's not in the notes, but I think I remember it. Probably caught some ghost fish or something. Eventually, they return to the campfire for a short moment of peace at least, which is when Embers notices a feminine figure off in the distance. Although this time, it's holding a pitchfork, which leads others to think that it's probably not the same person. They approach with caution, and find that it's actually Nigte, the farmer that Raksha called upon to help revitalize Kryn's fields. While trying to find the party, she got lost in this forest too, so luckily, or maybe not luckily, this isn't the same woman that they saw before. Now, returning back to the campfire, Embers concocts a new idea to figure out what that shadowy creature was. Now might be a good time to talk about her a little bit more. Embers is a veteran of the Dragon Cult War. Since fighting in it, she's been creating magical prosthetics for others to use. She herself also has an artificial... Where's the cursor? It was on the other monitor. She herself also has an artificial arm, leg somewhere down there, and an eye, as well as a few things that you can't easily see. Anyway, each of these can actually transform and fulfill many useful purposes, as seen with the light-up arm earlier. Out of everyone, she's been the most violent so far. I think she jumped to violence fighting with those bandits, and has been pretty ruthless in combat against the various necrotic beasts. She's also able to control a robot spider-like creature thing that she made, which, unlike everybody else, was able to witness that large creature from earlier. So now, she has it project a recording of the moment. The creature is blue and Nightwalker-esque, though it does walk on 4 legs. It somehow has some prosthetics with Ember's maker's mark on them, which nearly makes her break down. She's in utter disbelief that this could be true or that she could have made them, although she does eventually accept it and still continues to quietly break down. The party investigates a little more and decides to enter the cave that Tsubaki found earlier. Inside, they find a bunch of icky spore stuff, but more importantly, a ritual circle, which they'd identify as being made to amplify curses. Atlas recognizes this, but doesn't say a thing, and Guy marks it down on his journal. Deeper into the cave is a damp, open area. It's like a really shallow lake, or maybe just a large pond, with a few islands filled with giant mushrooms. But on the opposite side, they find another ritual circle, an even larger one, floating above the surface of the water. And at its center is the blue creature. The party engage in it. Fuck. Dude, there's somebody... Party engage it in a desperate struggle. Although Tsubaki does her own thing and successfully prevents it with her spells, but then Guy, he does some insane shit, like he jumps on it, fucking strings a rope through its mouth, straddling it like a horse or something, and then lights himself on fire. Oh right, the rope is covered in oil. Lights himself on fire, which then lights the rope and the monster on fire. It's dead. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Now, this is where these two come up. You see, Simon and Atlas have been traveling together for months and joined Raksha's cause with the hope of making some money, which seems like maybe that's not going to happen. Anyway, so far Simon has been pretty quiet and mysterious to everyone, while Atlas has been a mix of bubbly and plucky, although behind the scenes she's also been nervous. But now, she looks over to him with knowing, fearful eyes. The stress from the encounter still lingers for her, and tearing out of her body like a moth from a cocoon, I guess, she transforms into a hunched over Mothman. It's basically Mothman. It is enraged. It's fucking going after Simon in particular, although maybe that's just because he was right next to her. It nearly slashes him to death, but luckily the party subdues it, mainly with calming and sleep spells. He falls down and transforms back into a sleeping Atlas. Now that that's solved, Embers goes over to the blue creature. It's not actually on fire still. It's fine. Well, it's dead, but you know what I mean. On one of the prosthetics that it has is a ritual circle drawn with blood, intended to store a creature inside of the prosthetic. And as the creature's soul finally leaves its body, the forest's shadows disappear. And with it was that giant cliff as well, so everyone's finally able to leave. Yippee! Embers also tore off the prosthetics as well as the creature's heart, which she put in a jar. Party returns to the village, and they go hunting and gathering too. Guy teaches Tsubaki to honor her kill by guiding her hand into a deer's blood. Nikde deduces that the soil quality probably isn't great. It's kind of just grass, weeds, and a few trees. And Isaac, he's just gathering wood. That's kind of what he does. Carpenter, lumberjack, I guess he does it all, everything that involves wood, anything that he needs for his carpentry. Vespa also goes fishing, I'm certain this time, and it's like so badass, dude. Atlas eventually wakes up while everyone's chatting at the campfire. She was pretty worried about potentially transforming, and Simon lies that nobody was hurt by Calypso, which is what that moth thing was called. Atlas actually doesn't know much about Calypso, but this is the 3rd time it's happened. We find that her affliction is a curse similar to lycanthropy. It's called the curse of dualistic pluralism, I think? Yeah. We also learn that Raksha herself, too, was a soldier during the war. Simon mutters about his brother in his sleep, and Isaac finishes building a roof. Embers analyzes what she took from the blue creature and finds black blood, warped human flesh, and a human-like brain. The party concludes that it was human at one point. Guy figures the whole point of these campfire chats is to get to know each other better, so he asks Simon to take off his mask. Atlas argues that he, Simon, can trust the party since, they left her alive after her transformation. But Simon's still scared since he says he has a kingdom's worth of jewels on his head. I don't know why he said that out loud in front of everybody. Maybe it was quiet? I don't know. Wait, no it wasn't. Guy realizes exactly who Simon is and hands him his own wanted poster. He throws it in the campfire and plays dumb, like his life depends on it. Under even more pressure from this, he runs, but then Ember catches him with a net. Guy attacks her to defend Simon when Raksha finally gets between everybody. Fuck! Stop making them long! She takes her mask off and shows Ember's her own wanted poster. Now, Raksha was a general in the Dragon Army, making her an enemy of Kryn and Ember's. Ember's demands an explanation, but Guy demands one from Ember's instead. She points out Raksha's wanted poster, so Guy takes it and eats it. Isaac comes outside from working on a house briefly and just utterly gawks at Raksha's beautiful, gorgeous face. But now isn't the time, so he gets back to work. Raksha says she never held the dragon cult's beliefs, but of course that's no excuse. Embers wants to turn her in, but she asks for at least some time to finish rebuilding Kryn first. Although Embers isn't really wanting to give up, her arm is a little too damaged to keep going. Embers leaves, but then Guy catches up with her and demands an apology. He says, "You hurt my friend, I don't like that," and tries to ensure that it will never happen again. She's still pissed, but Embers begrudgingly agrees that they've come to an understanding. Guy returns to the party like nothing even happened. A little bit later, Raksha, Guy, Simon, and Atlas talk a bit more about trust. Atlas still thinks that she and Simon can trust the party, but he does not want to talk about his past. Guy actually defends his privacy here. Atlas reveals that, related to her curse, she killed everyone in her circle except her mother. Simon found her covered in blood, but accepted her. Atlas is still pushy about Simon trusting others, but she does later apologize for it. The party continues gathering materials for food, building, and generally dicking around. Embers approaches Simon and apologizes for her irrational behavior, as she calls it. She gives him a dimensional pocket, essentially a bag of holding. Is this going to be giant? Yes, okay. Now, Ikte is the farmer mentioned earlier, and she dresses in all black despite that job. Similarly, her magic is defensive and resembles shadows. She has a levitating shovel or shadow tool made from these shadows, which can kind of project a shield around her allies. She's kept a distance from the group and has been easily distressed so far. When Simon showed off a dagger to gauge the others' reactions, Nikta excused herself. She could tell that the dagger was from Exelos, a country where the king was recently assassinated by the prince, who's gone on the run. Soon after, she prayed to her deity about how almost everyone is either a criminal or insane in this group. Anyway, what's important is today's events. While farming, Nikta is approached by 3 armor-clad Gif, or hippo people. They ask for embers, but she convinces them that she knows nothing. So instead, they ask for a place to stay and are a little bit too pushy for Nikta to stop, and kind of just head past her towards the village. She warns everybody with the telepathy still, and Ember starts to freak. She realizes that this is the Lance Point Brigade, her deployment from within the Gaian army. For you see, Gaia was another country, and an ally of Kryn during the war. But they left the region, and abandoned Embers, presuming her dead. However, now that she's seemingly alive and well, she's considered a deserter. Embers realizes that by turning in Raksha to the Gif, maybe, just maybe, they would return herself to Gaia with a lighter punishment than whatever's in store. Raksha's disappointed at how soon this is happening, but agrees to be turned in. Vi and Vespa are against this, but can't stop her. Isaac runs out and meets the Gif first, but fails to deter them with words. Next are Embers and Raksha. Guy is fiercely running behind them, like I think he's screaming a battle cry. So Isaac makes the first move and hits one of the GIF fucking hard. But of course, the GIF fight back. Guy, Vespa, and Atlas join in defending Raksha against the GIF. Meanwhile, Nikta claims responsibility for this outcome, for leading GIF here, and helps Embers in her attempt to defend the brigade and subdue or reason with their violent companions. Raksha does nothing for the entire combat, while Simon takes quite a while to come out of a daze. Eventually, Isaac seemingly comes around to Ember's plea by knocking one of the brigade's GIF unconscious, as opposed to killing him. Guy nearly dies, but Nikta is able to heal him back to consciousness. Except this time, instead of our normal Guy, his eyes are now blue and elven. Instead of the GIF, he goes after Raksha, yelling, "We were farmers!" in a girl's voice. Eventually, in this utterly chaotic scuffle, all the GIF are knocked unconscious. Wow, they're kind of getting divided by all the rotating here. Sorry. The normal Guy returns, completely unaware of what happened to him, and snaps one of the GIF's necks before getting sleep spelled. Nikta attempts to heal the corpse over and over, but it's futile. Eventually, she herself collapses too. The two remaining GIF are dragged into camp, and Embers is left in shock. Isaac, not so gently, interrogates the GIF and confirms Ember's story about the war desertion in the Lance Point Brigade. Turns out they still would have taken her to be executed regardless of Raksha's arrest. The GIF ask to be killed, as now that they failed their mission, they can't return to Gaia. But it's against Isaac's oath to kill a defenseless person. Next, Guy interrogates them, alone. He asks a lot about Raksha, though we don't know what exactly, while using, quote, CIA-level torture techniques. He goes a little too far and kills them. The entire fucking room, the building that this is in, is covered in blood. There's blood everywhere. There's like the Sistine Chapel painted on the ceiling in blood. It's it's quite gruesome. I don't know how he accidentally, whatever. Simon checks in on Embers in the corner of a house, away from everyone. She feels she fucked up and won't have another chance to return home now. However, Simon thinks that nobody will fault her for this, and asks a little bit about her home. The island nation of Gaia is practically 100% city. Embers used to work there at a scrappy market before joining the Lance Point Brigade and finding a new family in them. Then, the Dragon Cult War started in Kryn, and Gaia sent troops over as an ally. At the end of the war was the Battle of Kalaman. They were nearly overrun, siege weapons broken, men dead, and on top of all that, then the dragon arrived. Embers was presumed dead and left behind by Gaia, and you know the rest. Simon mentions he can't go home either, but he believes Embers will have a chance to go home. He says, life is a difficult thing. You lose more than you gain, but there's always a better outcome if you have the patience, keeping one foot in front of the other. Embers thanks him, but asks for another moment alone. She stays in there for another 15 minutes. Nikta heads into the woods. There's a tree that she had previously talked to with magic, sort of venting about her fears about the party. It talks to her again, and the VOD and notes are missing for this part. You gotta be shitting me. But I think what it says is, I can't remember. Guy gives Embers a cursed mirror. According to the description, it's a mirror that reflects only the faces or even bodies of people who have been touched by darkness or otherwise cursed. Otherwise, it doesn't reflect anything. Nikta returns to everyone at the campfire. She apologizes for things turning out the way they did, although Isaac and Embers try to take the blame instead. Embers makes a full-length apology to the party. She says she's made stupid, horrible decisions, that she's been thinking about them, and figures that she's hurt everyone here. She says, "I didn't think. I just acted without reason. And for that, I'm sorry." She expects the damage to be irreparable and offers to leave if that's what everyone finds best. Nikta thinks what she did was pretty understandable, and of course Raksha doesn't blame her. She walks over and puts a hand on Ember's shoulder while she tells her that, with nothing left to be said, everyone goes to sleep. We continue work on the village with no more real interruptions. A few days after the incident, Embers approaches Isaac, who's missing half a leg, and asks why he doesn't just, get a new foot or prosthetics or something. But he does not give a straight answer. 2 weeks later, Embers presents to him a finely carved lower leg. She even tries to put it on, but finds that there are magical runes that reject prosthetics on his little stump. Later on, as more time progresses, Nikta teaches Atlas and Subaki about plants, mainly from the perspectives of botany and farming. Finally, a month after the incident, the party decides to name the new village Cypress, and it's passed on to new inhabitants. Nikta leaves the villagers with magically modified seeds for all seasons of the year and teaches them how to take care of those crops. And so, the party goes on the road. Raksha decides to stay with the group, and Isaac is quietly very happy. Also, his crush is really obvious. He tries to hide it, but he's not good. It's really obvious, guys. It's really fucking obvious. On our way further into the countryside, we come across a house smack dab in the middle of the road. It looks like a life-size dollhouse, and will soon prove to be a bit of an incident in and of itself. But that'll have to wait till next time on the next arc of Unearthed Memories. Is this an arc? Is this a mini arc? I don't know what to call it, but the next part, whatever. You know what I mean. I feel like I had something to say, but I don't know what it was. Yerp.